Hey folks, Mr. Dell here. We are looking at taking a portions web and completing a portions web. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, first of all, let me tell you where this is from. I'm taking this problem from CPM Course 2, and this is section 4.3.3. And this is specifically review preview number 4-114. So it says complete the portions web. So there's different forms of a portion, right? For A, we see they give us the fraction form, 17 over 100. So we need to find the decimal form and the percent form. Those are all forms of a portion. So it's fraction, decimal, and percent. And then you have in the middle either words or pictures. So in this case, they already gave us the words. This 1700, 17 over 100 is 17 hundredths. 17 hundredths, well, if I were to read that again, 1700, 17 hundredths, and read it, 17 hundredths, well, as a decimal, if I told you 17 hundredths, write that 17 hundredths, you would say 0.17, right? That is 17 hundredths. That's how you write a decimal, is from the words you could see 17 hundredths. Okay? The other way is if it's not already in the hundreds, if it's not already as a fraction in the hundreds, we would take this and use division, right? I would actually take and go 17 divided by 100. So that would be the other method of finding the decimal, is using long division. All right, and if that was the case, let me just show that real quick. Actually, let me show it over here so I have more room. I'd say 17, right? 17 divided by 100. Well, first of all, 17 can't divide by 100 evenly at all. 100 does not go into 17, so I put a 0, and then I start to add some decimals, bring up the decimal place. So then I look at 17 or 100 into 170. I include that 0. 170, well, that goes in there once, multiply. Right, this is the long division algorithm. Subtract, you get 70, and then bring down the 0. So then how many times does 100 go into 700? Well, that goes in there evenly 7 times. So there's my decimal, and that's the process of getting the decimal, is if you do the division. You take a fraction, divide the top by the bottom, the numerator by the denominator. Okay, so there's my decimal. Percent, well, percent, a couple things with percent. Percents are always over 100, right? If I have something over 100, that is my percent. So in this case, I have my percent. It's 17% because it's already over 100. The other way, if I'm going to go this direction, right, if I'm taking the decimal and taking the percent, remember, it's multiplied by 100. You take your decimal, 0.17, and you multiply it times 100, because 100 is your 1 when it comes to a percent. 100% is 1 whole. So I multiply by 100 because 100% is my whole. And when you multiply 0.07 by 100, remember what you do is you take that decimal place and you move it twice. It's increasing it by a power of 10 to the second. So it moves it twice. So that's where that 17 comes from. Okay, there's my answers for A. So B, let's do this one. B, so I'm given the percent. I need to write it as a fraction. Remember what I said was, as a fraction, every percent is over 100. So this would be 55 over 100. And then we usually want to simplify our fractions, right? Simplifying the fraction would be to rewrite it by first dividing out a 1, right? And what I can divide out in this case is 5, because the 5 over 5 is 1, and that's, you divide top and bottom by the same thing. So 55 divided by 5 is 11. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So my fraction would be 11/20. As a decimal, if I'm looking at the percent and I have the percent, to go backwards to the decimal, you would divide by 100, right? So you multiplied by 100 to go from decimal to percent. To go from percent to decimal, divide by 100. And when you divide by 100, you take that number and you take the decimal place, which is at the very end, because that's 55%, and you move it twice the other direction. So our decimal would be 0.55. Okay. Or right here, you can see I had 55 hundredths, and now I read that as 55 hundredths. So different ways to look at it. Last one, words or pictures. You would write the words 55 hundredths, right? 55 hundredths. Or you can draw something with 20 pieces and shade in 11 of them. That's what would go in the words or pictures. Okay, there we go.